The first case I worked on was a case where my client was abused by a probation officer. She was an adult. She had committed, I believe it was theft under $5,000. She was a single mom. She was put on probation, and her probation officer started sexually assaulting her throughout the probation once every few weeks. And what struck me is, in doing that case and asking the institutional defendant questions, you must have thought that there's a risk of these things happening. There's an enormous power imbalance between someone who's on probation and a probation officer, an enormous power imbalance, that they can literally put them in jail if they don't do what they say. You must have thought about the risk of abuse happening. And they said, we didn't. We're still very much going through the reckoning that needs to happen with these institutional abuse claims, where we're learning just how big the problem is and how little effort a lot of institutions are putting into preventing it from happening. I grew up in a small town in Nova Scotia, raised by a single mom and in poverty. So the idea of even going to law school, we didn't know lawyers, we didn't know doctors. The rich people in my neighborhood had union jobs, for example. So I never thought about being a lawyer, never even occurred to me. Didn't think that, people with my background could do that kind of work. I ended up going to university, and when I was in university, I was working on an organization called Food Not Bombs. I was running it, and we did free meals in the park every Sunday. So we'd take food that was going to be thrown out. So an apple in the grocery store that has a nick, that's garbage. Nobody's gonna buy it, so they throw it out. So we take all of that food, we give it to soup kitchens, and we would make free meal in the park, kind of potluck style, where everybody could come and eat together. And I met a young man who was homeless. He had developmental delays, he had mental disabilities, should not be homeless, obviously needed care. And I started helping him out, and he kept getting denied social assistance, so he had no money. And so I tried to help him out, and I started trying to go to the meetings with the social assistance officer to try and explain, this man needs help, and you can't cut him off because he misses a meeting, because there's no way he's capable of remembering and attending meetings. He's just going to keep getting cut off over and over and over again. In fact, he should be on disability assistance, not just regular social assistance. And they wouldn't let me into the meetings. So I was going around social worker to social worker to social worker, and nobody could help. Eventually, the last social worker said, well, why don't you go to this community lawyer and see if he can help? So we're sitting in his office, he's listening to the story, he's getting angry, he dictates a letter while we're in the office, he faxes the letter while we're in the office, and later that day, social assistance was automatically turned back on for the young man I was helping. And I thought, I want to do that. I don't want to be a social worker anymore. I want to do that. That was, giving real power to someone who had none. So after that experience, I started applying to law school and was accepted, attended the University of Victoria. And it was funny because throughout law school, I was realizing that mostly what lawyers do is they take money from one wealthy person or corporation and they give it to another wealthy person or corporation. And that didn't seem meaningful to me. It seemed boring, frankly. And I couldn't figure out what I was going to do. And a friend said, well, my dad's a personal injury lawyer. All he does is help injured people recover money from insurance companies. What's wrong with that? I thought about it. I said, nothing. When you're representing extremely vulnerable people where they only have you to help them out, there is no plan B, you are the only one who's going to be able to do something for them, you can't put the case down until it's done right, and that means long hours. It just does. At a very early age, my clients have had control taken away from them by these abusers, and they've been carrying that weight their entire life. And the purpose of the lawsuit is to try and return some of that control that they lost, that was stolen. And I think that's one of the ways that civil litigation is so important. We believe our clients, and we prosecute these cases as assertively as possible to ensure that our clients receive the outcome that they deserve.